Today we're back at the bike rack and doing an athlete spotlight where we're talking to one of our star athletes here at the bike rack. This is Dave Frable.
Hi, I'm Dave.
Dave. Dave's been riding here for how many years?
Since 2005, when the center first opened up.
So you're one of the first athletes then?
I guess so. I'm one of the oldest, probably, that have participated at the bike rack. Yes.
Yeah. So how many years have you been riding, and how did you get into cycling in the beginning?
I guess I started riding in the early 80s.
What kind of riding did you do then?
We did road, and we started out on a whim doing a duathlon.
Oh, really?
And then we went into Olympic distance triathlons.
Wow.
So
that sport was a little different at that time.
It was a lot, yes, it was a lot different. Everybody had steel bikes. No one rode in riding shorts.
What did you compete in?
Honestly?
Yeah.
What were they called? You had your Speedo on, and you had your Mark Allen shorts.
Oh, wow.
Running shorts. So you basically got out of the water from your wetsuit, stripped down out of your wetsuit, jumped on your bike, and you took off and then got off your bike and ran.
Yeah. It was a much more honest sport, I think, at the time. Do you know what I mean? It was less of the, which I love the sport today, but all of the technology and everything, it was just much more.
Yeah, the technology was limited, but everybody was trying to get the newest technology, like they still are today.
Yeah.
I got a set of one of the first generation clipless pedals by a company called Cycle Binding.
Wow.
They look like wooden shoes from Holland, and they were clipless though, and I got it for free from a friend of mine that was a sponsor for Specialized. So.
Wow. So what year did you start getting into clipless pedals? Because that's been in our cycling generation, right?
Yeah, for a number of years. Probably, I want to say 84, 85.
Yeah.
Sure, it's changed. The shoes have changed. They're much lighter.
Yeah. It's just fun to think that, just sort of like life before iPhones, like there was life before clipped pedals, right?
Correct.
When we
yes.
tightened down the batches.
I remember competing in some races where they made you take a shower after leaving a lake.
Oh, really?
Or an ocean because of salt.
Wow.
So
yeah.
They did all kind of funky things.
Stuff. Yeah, so fast forward to now. So how do you ride now or compete or?
Okay, right now I'm training for the triple bypass. It's I'll call it an endurance ride in Colorado.
Very cool.
With 3, I'll say, mountains you have to climb, 3 elevations. I believe it's 120 miles.
Wow.
One way. So I get to, I'm going to do it with a number of my friends that are also riding at the bike rack.
Is it over what period of time is the event?
It's I think they give you 12 hours.
Wow.
It's timed. Each segment, there's 3 segments, and it's timed. So you have to make it within a certain time frame, or they'll say you need to basically
reconsider your goals.
Reconsider your goals and call somebody to pick you up, and then we'll continue.
Nice. When is that event?
That event is July 7th this year. Hopefully it's going to go off. Last year it was canceled
really?
due to forest fires up in Canada. They thought the conditions were not good enough for cyclists.
The air quality
was
Oh, that's so
bad.
disappointing after.
Yeah, after everybody was training for it for that long.
Yeah, so you guys have a really great group that ride together. How many times do you guys ride together, or how does?
Oh, geez, yeah, they're like brothers. There's a group of 6 of us. We ride during the summer together, and we ride at the bike rack together. So we see each other Some of us see each other more than our family members. We spend more time hourly with the group of guys and women occasionally that we ride with. So.
Yeah, it's just neat to see how long you guys have sort of all stayed connected and picked the same rides and.
Right, it's a great social, being at the bike rack, riding it in the classes that you manage.
Yeah.
It's a great social atmosphere. The coaches are really well versed in cycling and in training, and that's why I come in here mostly is for training to keep my endurance up.
Yeah, and you have really recovered after a little while off your bike. That had to be challenging for you to be off your bike for a little bit.
This is the first fall in 2 years that I haven't had surgery. I had knee replacement 2 years ago. I had rotator cuff shoulder surgery last year. So, knock on wood.
Yeah, and I just love how quickly you just got right back on the bike, right? It was.
Yeah, I didn't waste any time about getting back on the bike.
Any time at all.
At the chagrin of my surgeons, they thought it was okay though.
Yeah.
After I explained what I was doing, so.
Yeah, great. And then tell us a little bit about what you do for work in your career. I think it's really interesting.
Okay. I am a senior fire protection engineer. I work for the federal government in Washington, D.C. I basically right now I write policy on fire protection for federal buildings in which GSA is the landlord. I work for GSA, which is the landlord of the federal government, civilian federal government. I'm responsible for 37 engineers across the country. And that's about all. I've been doing it for a long time.
How did you get into that?
How did I get into it? I went to school at the University of Maryland, and at the time I did not know that was one of only 2 programs in the country that offered that Bachelor of Science degree in engineering for fire protection.
Oh, really? So
I was going there for civil engineering. I worked during the summer for a friend of mine who is a civil engineer. And I mentioned I saw a flyer on a pole saying, look at this opportunity in a new engineering field. And I talked to him about it. He said, civil engineering is pretty boring. Why don't you give that a shot? So I did. And the dean of the department, he was a very intelligent individual. He let me burn things the first class. So I liked it.
You were all in.
I was all in. I liked it and I stayed with it. And it has been an enjoyable career. I met a lot of fun people, traveled out of the country.
What a really neat niche.
Yeah, it is. And I recommend any person with children who want to get in a fun engineering field to look up fire protection engineering.
Wow, how many schools across the U.S. do you know now that do that?
Right now, unfortunately, IIT was at the other school at the time. They no longer provide that program. So right now, for a bachelor degree in fire protection engineering, the only one in the United States is the University of Maryland. You can pursue a degree in another engineering field and get your master's at Worcester Poly Institute in Boston, Cal Poly in California. So you can get your master's degrees in there.
Okay.
So,
wow.
it's a fun field.
It's a fun field.
Fun field.
Very cool. Well, great.
Well, thank you.
Well, thank you, Dave.